Hey fellow time travelers, welcome back to our channel. Today we'll be taking a look at how phones went from this to this in just a span of 150 years. We'll be exploring the most significant milestones and landmarks achieved, from the invention of the telephone to the smartphones we know today and beyond. So grab a snack, sit back, and let's get started. Our journey begins in the 1870s when Alexander Graham Bell patented the first telephone. Interestingly, Alexander Graham Bell was not passionate about creating a telephone. Instead, he was devoted to the idea of oralism. He initially used visible speech, a method developed by his father, Alexander Melville Bell, to teach deaf people, including Helen Keller and his future wife May. His work with the deaf and his careful study of how sound is transmitted via the human voice led Bell to the invention of the telephone. This incredible invention revolutionized long-distance communication, allowing people to talk to each other from miles away. The early telephone system relied on operators to manually connect calls, and as technology progressed, the rotary dial phone was introduced, making it easier for people to dial numbers directly. 1894 saw the invention of the manual telephone switchboard, an innovation that allowed people who had telephones at home or office to call others at will. Manual telephone switchboards required human operators using electrical patch cord cables, aka switches, to route the calls. The caller telephoned the operator and asked to be connected to someone. The operator then plugged the caller's patch cord cable jack into the call recipient's socket. Did you know the first switchboard operators were teenage boys? However, boys frequently proved rude and unruly to callers, receiving poor customer satisfaction scores, so young women, believed to be naturally more polite and empathetic, were hired as telephone girls. The transition from landlines to mobile phones began in the 1940s, with Bell Labs' development of the first mobile phone service. However, this system was primarily used in vehicles and was not widely available to the general public. Car phones were the first on-the-go phone experience people were introduced to back then and inspired the invention of the first mobile phone. The car phone was introduced in America by Motorola in 1946, with limited service in Chicago provided by the Bell system. It used radio technology to connect a phone installed in the vehicle to landlines across the country. Due to the technology being used, the earliest systems could only handle 3 calls at any one time, so there were long waits. These phones were massive in size, weighing around 80 pounds. The technology was slow to pick up due to the additional weight, the requirement of a professional to install them, and the limited coverage area. It was during the 1970s and 1980s that the car phone really grew in popularity, with many models being made with pre-installed phones for customers to use on the go. During the 1970s, System 2 and then System 3 were introduced, each bringing with it the ability to handle more calls as the car phone rose in popularity. System 3 also had automatic channel scanning, making it much easier to find a free line to make an outgoing call on. In 1988, car phones no longer needed to use radio technology. Instead, they shifted to the more widespread network developed for mobile phone users. Did you know the car phone first entered the public eye when Humphrey Bogart's character in 1954's Sabrina got work done in the back of a limo with his phone and portable dictaphone? It wasn't until the 1980s that things started to get truly mobile. In 1983, Motorola introduced the Dynatac 8000, the first mobile phone. It was a bulky and expensive device, priced at almost $4,000, but it marked the beginning of a new era in communication. Nicknamed the Brick, the phone weighed about 2 pounds, took 10 hours to charge a battery that lasted only 30 minutes, could store no more than 30 phone numbers, and cost nearly $10,000 in today's dollars. Several models followed, starting in 1985 with the 8000s and continuing with periodic updates of increasing frequency until 1993's Classic 2. The Dynatac was replaced in most roles by the much smaller Motorola Microtac when it was first introduced in 1989, and by the time of the Motorola StarTAC's release in 1996, it was obsolete. Did you know The first publicly demonstrated cell phone call took place in 1973 in the hands of Martin Cooper, a Motorola engineer. Cooper credited the car phone systems for inspiring him to develop an entirely handheld version. The device impressed the consumers with the concept and paved the path for the mobile phones that came after it. After Motorola's famous release of the Brick, other companies started adding their expertise to the mobile industry. Nokia, a Finnish company, played a significant role in popularizing mobile phones. In 1992, they released the Nokia 1011, the first mass-produced GSM phone. GSM, or Global System for Mobile Communications, is a standard that allowed for more efficient use of the radio spectrum, enabling more people to make calls simultaneously. In 1983, work began to develop a European standard for digital cellular voice telecommunications when the European Conference of Postal and Telecommunications Administrations set up the committee and later provided a permanent technical support group based in Paris. 5 years later, in 1987, 15 representatives from 13 European countries signed a Memorandum of Understanding in Copenhagen to develop and deploy a common cellular telephone system across Europe, and EU rules were passed to make GSM a mandatory standard. This technology laid the foundation for the widespread adoption of mobile phones. After the release of the Nokia 1011, the real game changer was the Nokia 3310 in 2000. This iconic device was known for its durability, long battery life, and the addictive game Snake. Snake was not the first game introduced on mobiles. That award goes to Tetris. Still, it was definitely the most popular mobile game of the time. Nokia continued to dominate the mobile phone market in the early 2000s, with devices like the Nokia 1100 and Nokia 6610 becoming immensely popular due to their reliability and user-friendly designs. Did you know Nokia started off as a single paper mill operation, and only in the 19th century it branched into several different products, eventually inventing the Nokia 1011 mobile phone. As mobile phones became more advanced, they started incorporating multimedia features. Sony Ericsson was a pioneer in this area with the release of the T68i in 2001, which allowed users to attach a camera accessory and take pictures. It was impressive how Samsung's SHEV 200 flipped open to reveal a 1.5-inch TEFT LCD, and the built-in digital camera was capable of taking 20 photos at 350,000 pixel resolution or 0.35 megapixels. However, you had to hook it up to a computer to get your photos. The camera and the phone components were essentially separate devices housed in the same body. In 2002, Nokia introduced the 7650, their first phone with a built-in camera. These developments paved the way for camera phones to become mainstream. Devices like the Nokia 95 and the Sony Ericsson K750i boasted advanced camera features for their time, including autofocus, flash, and higher resolution sensors. After cameras, the integration of music players became popular. Samsung was the first to innovate with the Samsung SPHM100 Uproar, launched in 2000 and considered to be the first mobile phone to have MP3 music capabilities in the US market. Later, more popular devices like the Sony Ericsson Walkman series, the Nokia Express Music lineup, and eventually the first iPhone catered to music enthusiasts. Did you know Samsung claims to introduce the first cell phone with a built-in camera? But according to popular reports, the first commercial phone with a color camera was the Kaio Kira Visual Phone, released in Japan in May 1999. BlackBerry, a Canadian company, introduced the concept of smartphones with the BlackBerry 5810 in 2002. It featured email, web browsing, and a full QWERTY keyboard, making it a popular choice among business professionals. The QWERTY keyboard revolutionized modern messaging systems, and integrating emails with the phone was groundbreaking in communication. BlackBerry continued to expand its smartphone lineup with devices like the BlackBerry Pearl and the BlackBerry Bold, which boasted better multimedia capabilities, faster internet connections, and a growing selection of third-party apps. Other than emails, BlackBerry devices also had BBM, the BlackBerry's instant messenger service. Messages sent via BBM were sent over the internet and used the BlackBerry PIN system. Exchanging messages was possible to a single person or via dedicated discussion or chat groups, allowing multiple BlackBerry devices to communicate in a single session. In addition to offering text-based instant messages, BBM also allowed users to send pictures, voice notes, files up to 16 MB, share real-time location on a map, stickers, and a wide selection of emojis. Specializing in secure communications and mobile productivity, BlackBerry was once well known for the keyboards on most of its devices and software services running through its server. At its peak in September 2011, there were 85 million BlackBerry subscribers worldwide. Did you know BlackBerries were some of the most secure devices in the market? In fact, the US president would continue using the BlackBerry until 2015, long after the brand had faltered. The smartphone landscape changed dramatically in 2007 with the introduction of the Apple iPhone. Steve Jobs, Apple's co-founder, unveiled the device as a combination of a phone, a camera, and an iPod. Early on, Jobs noted that people struggled with multiple gadgets, say BlackBerry, phones, and iPods. The idea was to replace it and provide the consumers with one device. The iPhone featured a sleek design, a touchscreen interface, and a powerful operating system, iOS, revolutionizing the way people used mobile devices. However, the first iPhone had expensive pricing at $499 and $599, which alienated a large part of the population from buying it. Apple continued to refine the iPhone with yearly updates, introducing new features like 3G connectivity, video recording, and improved cameras, also dropping the price with the next model, the iPhone 3G, to cater to a larger user group. The App Store, launched in 2008, allowed developers to create and distribute apps, further enhancing the iPhone's capabilities. The introduction of the App Store paved the way for developers to build software. The app development changed the way people communicate and entertain themselves. It turned out to be a pocket computer. Siri, the voice-activated personal assistant, debuted on the iPhone 4s in 2011, setting a new standard for smartphone AI assistants. Did you know? The first iPhone was conceived in 1983 by an Apple computer developer Hartmut Esslinger. He designed a landline phone in 1983 that mirrored iPhone and iPad features today. Google entered the smartphone market in 2008 with the launch of the Android operating system. Developed as an open-source alternative to Apple's iOS, Android offered more flexibility and customization options. Over the years, Android became the most popular mobile operating system, with companies like Samsung, LG, and Sony embracing the platform for their devices. The key decision in Android history was Google's commitment to making Android an open-source operating system. This allowed Android to become highly popular with third-party phone makers. Just a few years after the launch of Android 1.0, smartphones powered by the new OS were everywhere. When Apple first launched iPhone in 2007, Google was still working on Android in secret. But in November of that year, the company slowly started to reveal its plans to compete with Apple and other mobile platforms. In a major development, Google led the formation of the Open Handset Alliance. It included phone makers like HTC and Motorola, chip manufacturers such as Qualcomm and Texas Instruments, and carriers including T-Mobile. The first Android device, the HTC Dream, was released in October 2008, featuring a slide-out keyboard and access to the Android market, which we now know as the Google Play Store. Although HTC Dream received pretty bad reviews from tech critics, it already had trademarks of Google's plan for OS, like integrating a number of the company's other products and services. This included Google, Maps, YouTube, and an HTML browser that used Google's search services. Google also proudly stated that its App Store would have dozens of unique, first-of-a-kind Android applications. This was clearly the beginning of Android's rise in the mobile device market. Google also partnered with various manufacturers to produce the Nexus series, showcasing the best of Android on well-designed, affordable devices. This strategy continued with the introduction of the Pixel series in 2016, which emphasized Google's prowess in software optimization and camera technology. Did you know NASA even uses Android? They sent 2 Nexus S handsets running Android Gingerbread into space to test their sensors in orbit aboard the International Space Station. Samsung made a significant impact on the smartphone market with the release of the Galaxy Ace in 2010. With its powerful hardware, sleek design, and vibrant Super AMOLED display, the Galaxy series became a strong competitor to Apple's iPhone. Samsung continued to innovate with features like edge-to-edge displays, water resistance, and wireless charging in subsequent devices like the Galaxy S6 and S7. The Galaxy Note series, launched in 2011, popularized the concept of phablets, large-screen smartphones with stylus pens for productivity tasks. Samsung's devices pushed the boundaries of what a smartphone could do, with models like the Galaxy Note 9 boasting powerful processors, ample storage, and advanced camera features. Although soon, Samsung phones had a massive setback in 2016 after their newly launched Galaxy Note 7 series started catching fire within weeks of its launch. Some of the phones even exploded, causing serious damage and putting massive pressure on the company. By September 2 of that year, the company stopped producing the phone and sent replacements. Samsung quickly lost $26 billion in value in the stock market due to this entire fiasco. Analysts estimated the setback would cost the company $17 billion in sales, adding that if the crisis didn't sink Samsung's mobile business, it would almost certainly kill the Note line. But even with all the critics, Samsung managed to swing back within 2 years. Still, the entire exploding batteries incident pointed to an ever-growing issue in the smartphone market of adding more without making it stable. Did you know? Samsung is always at the forefront of technology. They created the digital TV in 1998, the watch phone and MP3 phone in 1999, the 3D home theater in 2010, and the world's first curved smartphone display in 2013. In recent years, Chinese brands like Huawei, Xiaomi, and OnePlus have made substantial strides in the smartphone market. They offer quality devices at low prices, often featuring cutting-edge technology and adding +1 to any feature other big companies might be providing at the time. These companies have disrupted the market by providing consumers with more affordable options without compromising on performance. Huawei's P and Mate series have been praised for their impressive cameras and elegant designs. The company has also invested heavily in 5G technology, launching devices like the Huawei Mate 20X 5G. Xiaomi's Mi and Redmi lines have gained popularity for their excellent value for money offerings, while OnePlus has built a loyal fan base with devices like the OnePlus 3T and OnePlus 6T, which prioritize speed and performance. However, these companies also introduced another nefarious method of monetizing their products by including advertisements within their phones. So, even after paying for a phone, the user still has to watch pop-up ads. This divided the smartphone community into 2 parts. One part openly criticized this form of monetization, while others only cared about the low smartphone prices. Whether you like or dislike Chinese smartphones, they have made premium quality smartphones available to a larger user base with their competitive pricing, forcing other smartphone giants to do the same. Did you know Huawei developed its own operating system, the Harmony OS, because of its rocky relationship with Google and the United States? Harmony OS will directly compete with Google's Android and Apple's iOS. The smartphone industry continues to evolve, with new innovations appearing regularly. One of the latest developments is foldable phones, with companies like Samsung, Huawei, and Motorola releasing foldable devices. These devices offer new possibilities for multitasking and larger display sizes without sacrificing portability. As we look to the future, we can expect further advancements in battery technology, AI, and camera capabilities. Companies are also exploring alternative form factors such as rollable displays and modular designs, which could change the way we interact with our devices. Augmented reality and virtual reality technologies are also gaining traction in the mobile space, with the potential to create immersive experiences and new ways of interacting with the digital world. As we move into the next era of mobile technology, 5G connectivity is becoming increasingly important. 5G-enabled devices promise faster download speeds and lower latency. This new generation of mobile networks is expected to enable a host of new applications, from augmented reality to autonomous vehicles and even smart cities. In addition to 5G, the development of 6G is already on the horizon, with research into even faster and more efficient networks underway. While it may be several years before 6G becomes a reality, it's clear that the evolution of mobile technology shows no signs of slowing down. Did you know, as per the new Ericsson Mobility Report, there will be up to 400 million 5G subscriptions all over the world by the end of 2024? So there you have it, a comprehensive look at the 150 years of phones, from Alexander Graham Bell's invention to the cutting-edge devices of today and beyond. It's been an incredible journey, and we can't wait to see what the future holds. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel and become a fellow time traveler. Until next time, stay connected